Hello and welcome to my New York City subway line tier list. This video is either going to make you really happy or really mad or really neutral. Let's get right into it.
Starting off, we have the Z train tier, which is basically for all the trains that, don't exist. And yes, I put the W train there. Cry about it. Alright? This is the most filler line to ever exist. I was in a Z line video about it. Moving on, the Z train. Very self-explanatory. Staten Island Railway. Doesn't really need an explanation. And the Rockaway Park shuttle does not exist. You can't convince me it exists. Now, if the MTA went and officially had it as the H train or something, and it ran more frequently, I might put that up to I don't know, either mid or good. But until that happens, it's staying in here. And now we move on to garbage tier. This tier is basically for all the trains that you have to wait a long time for, and they're really slow, and they kind of suck. The C train is probably the worst offender here. The F train and the F Express are also here because the F is just not good in Manhattan or Brooklyn. And even in Queens, everyone says it's the best in Queens, but even then it's not that good at all. And the Q train is here for obvious reasons. If you know, you know. And now we move on to bad tier. This is basically for all the This is basically for all the trains you have to wait a long time for, but they're still really useful, kinda. The 2 train's a good example. I've waited like 20 minutes for the 2 train once, and it was a weekday, and there was nothing going on either. There was no delays or anything. It was just like that. And the A train I've waited longer for on a weekday, and on weekends it's even worse. The J train's usually around 10 minutes, but I've waited as long as 15 minutes for one J train during rush hour too. But I rely heavily on the J train. So, and now we move on to mid tier, and there are way too many trains for me to just talk about all of them individually here. But basically, these are for all the trains that are useful and very helpful, but either they don't do that much, or that you have to wait a long time for them, or it's just a slow ride. Yeah.
Now we move up to good tier. These are all the trains that I think are good at their job, such as the 1 train. It's good at just getting people places along 7th Avenue, and it doesn't deal with too many delays or anything because it's on its own track. The 4 train is good at getting people from the Bronx to Manhattan to Brooklyn, and yes, I think it's better than the 5 train. Bit faster, bit quicker, and I kind of like the vibes a bit better on the 4 train because it feels more like a real train, other than the 5 train. It's more of a filler train for most of the route. Times Square shuttle, it's good for getting people from A to B. Literally, it's just a 2-stop line. And then the air train is good at getting people to the airport, I guess. I don't know. And now we move on to the great tier, which is for all the trains that I think are doing great at its job. Like the 6 train, for example, kind of like the 1 train, has its own track for most of the route, and doesn't really have to interline with any lines. I think I'll have to double check on that. But the reason I put it higher than the 1 is because 1, I think it's a bit faster. 2, it's a Lexington line, so whenever I don't feel like taking the 4 or the 5 train, when it's really crowded, I just hop on the 6. Most of the local stations, a good chunk of the local stations have transfers to other trains, and I think that's really good. And the E train is here because it's the quickest way to get to Manhattan, at least for me, and it comes every 5 minutes, at least on Queens Boulevard it does. And yeah, in general, it just gets me to where I need to be fast, so that's why I like it so much. And this is the elite tier. These trains basically don't really need an instruction on why they're so good. Basically fast, quick, does its job well, and overall just my favorite trains in the system. Yes, I put the 6 Express here. Do something about it.